It's hard to tell with Nightend. Normally when I think of him on a map like Ohana, I'm thinking Immortal Century into a third base, and then he plays from there. I'm not thinking he goes Stargate. I'm not thinking he goes anything but Robotics Facility, although he is capable of that, don't get me wrong. But the fact of the matter is Nightend's style lends itself to play that Macro Wars, just survive until you get that mothership, get 200, and then you can actually start playing. That's what Nightend likes to do. Dimaga, on the other hand, he likes to be aggressive. He really likes to exercise Zergling Banelings in the beginning stage. Get those 2 upgrades, of course, Melee and Carapace, and then from there just transition into mid-game with some sort of lair tech, whether it be Infestors or Corruptors.
And with that, let's introduce our players starting. And where do you want to go on to? The top left?
Let's do it.
Starting in top left, we have from Team MTW, it is Dimaga.
Dimaga. Dima Flipchuck. The only man to ever give me a hickey.
Wait, what?
I never told you about this story.
Phrasing? Wait, what? He gave you a hickey?
Yeah.
Is it exactly what I think it is, Andre?
Okay, so
we were
fighting.
Is this G-rated?
Yeah, it's G-rated.
Am I going to get fined for asking about this story?
You are not going to get fined. So what happened is...
Either by a producer or the CFC.
We were in Korea together in a tournament, IEF, and Dimaga was staying up all night, out gallivanting.
I don't know if I like this story.
And I saw him at 8 a.m. I woke up really early, went to the venue, was going to the venue, and I see Dimaga. I'm like, Dimaga, how you doing, man? And he starts fighting with me. I'm like, okay, I'll fight him. And then all of a sudden, I just feel teeth marks in my shoulder. And I was like, okay, no, it's starting to hurt now. It's starting to hurt. And he just doesn't let go. That's the largest hickey I've ever seen before in my life. Were you afraid of crosses and garlic also right afterward? I don't know how to respond to that, Andre. Probably should not tell that story so much, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess we all have our moments. I don't know. Dimaga, I guess, is, for those of you who don't know, Dimaga is a very fit guy. Big. People used to call him the Muscle. Muscle is one of his nicknames.
Then they met Slivko.
And then they met Happy Zerg, who's now called Slavic. But Dimaga is one of those guys where I guess if you meet him at 8 a.m. and he has to fight you, just say no.
Just say no.
Unless you like hickeys.
Just
try to explain
no.
that to Johanna, Andre. Oh yeah, this hickey is from Dimaga.
Oh, okay.
You just happen to be in Europe and get a hickey.
It's not the vacuum cleaner. It's Dimaga.
It's from a Ukrainian man, I swear.
No, it's not from another girl. It's from a guy. Oh okay.
It's like this probe comes back. Like, what have you been doing with those 2 other Zerg? It's like, no, man, they were beating me up. It's like, sure.
Whoa, why are you in the red right there? Why are you in the red? The Zerglings, man, the Zerglings.
Nightend is opening up pretty standard here, though, Andre. And he's actually walling off with his Cybernetics core and everything in the front. And it's also, I think, it's in respect to Dimaga's style, which, if he does go for like a huge Baneling attack and everything as well, it just helps reinforce his wall.
I like this wall very much. You have so many ways to actually block off completely. You could just put a pylon over here. You can also put a pylon over here. So there's a lot of different ways. Let's say you are witnessing, as you said, the Zergling Banelings. You can actually wall off twice, and all of a sudden, instead of using only 5 Banelings to get through, you have to use 10 Banelings. A very different story. Of course, I don't think Dimaga is doing that here in game number 2.
We'll see what Dimaga chooses to do. Last season, I remember Dimaga played against Hero on this map.
Oh, yes.
A very long game. I think it was like an hour and a half, something around that time. It was absolutely absurd. And Dimaga's not afraid to play it fast, but also play it slow. He's a man of many speeds, I would say.
Sometimes he just
takes it easy. Oh,
nice and slow.
Sometimes he likes 4 Harvesters in his main geyser on.
Yeah, I saw that before. Tisk, Dimaga.
Don't you actually gain a little bit, like very marginally advantage
let's find out.
Getting
Let's find
4
out.
Harvesters? Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Just very marginal. Very small.
It actually might not be anything.
No, I think it's like you get like an extra 12 gas per minute or something. Like it's something so small that it's like it's not really worth putting the drone there.
For those of you that don't know already, you get about 2 gas per second for a fully saturated one. Vespene Geyser. I just want to throw that out there because now that's how I'm thinking of gas.
That's good.
It's my new way.
Well, Dimaga is, he's still on a low amount of gases. Nightend, though, has all 4, and he's pushing out his Stargate as well as a Twilight Council. Man,
all right,
he really likes teching while getting
Nightend proved me wrong, man. He went Stargate. I did not expect this from him.
And he's going Void Ray, too. You've seen a lot of Protoss players love getting Phoenixes out, and then controlling the map, take a fast third, defend with, while getting a Robo, but instead, he's going Twilight and getting Blink.
Yeah, we have very contrasting styles from this game and, let's say, someone like, oh, I don't know, Bishu. Bishu went a Stargate play and followed it up with a lot of Phoenixes. But then he went into Robotics Facility, and that difference between going into Robotics Facility and going into something like Twilight Councils, Twilight Council, if you see this as a Zerg directly after a Stargate, you know it is an all-in. It can't be anything else. Because Burrow is going to be a huge nuisance for you, especially if there is something like Roaches out. So when this happens, Nightend actually has to splurge a ton in making sure that this attack works, else he'll be so far behind economically, it's irreparable.
Yeah, but I see what Nightend's doing now. He's faking Stargate play.
Yeah.
And he's going to go 8-gate Blink, which is purely going to be Zealot Stalker, I think, at this point. I mean, if he tries to invest too much into any sentries, he's just going to really not keep up the Stalker production later on. But Nightend at this point, I guess he's going to just start to slowly take ground. 8 gates is a lot. Dimaga, how prepared are you going to be? His Bathing Nest is only about halfway done.
Yeah, Dimaga is playing it a little bit weird, actually going for the counterattack in this position. But what he should be really focusing on is actually trying to deny this. You do not want the Protoss actually gaining this much ground. And this is already too much. Nightend will do some serious damage, but there's still a lot of time before that pylon actually comes up here.
Ooh, well, he's going to confront before he's able to get any warp-ins in.
No.
Dimaga's going to get a good surround on the sentry immediately. Now, Nightend can use this ramp very nicely and just blink back calmly. Needs to kind of get some Zealots warped in as well, but he loads in the low ground instead of directly by the pylon. The Queens deal with the Void Rays also very nicely. And Dimaga's held very comfortably thus far. Just needs to get a couple transfusions. His Queens are actually being left alone. He could have gotten at least 2-3 transfusions.
Oh, excuse me. There was a run by into the natural of Nightend. This is going to be very, very crippling. Unfortunate for Nightend that he wasn't able to block this in time, and that's going to actually cripple this attack right here. Not a lot can really be reinforced because most of the warp-ins actually went back home. So you're going to see the Zerglings just flutter in, and they're going to be able to do a lot of damage here.
Yeah, with these cells with +2 really negate that +1 carapace from the Zerglings, and as a result, 2 shots very, very quickly. Dimaga losing his Queen production, but he's got a lot of Banes morphing back at home. Nightend seems to be pretty safe, and the pressure continues. The Banes are done morphing, though, and crash directly into the Zealots. Pretty good damage, actually, from these Banes to really whittle him down, but he still needs a little bit more. 26 Zerglings on the way. Spinecrawlers hatch just in time, but the Stalkers are working on them very quickly. 3 Queens also at the third, the double hatchery production, making sure that Dimaga can hold it. Very, very well done by our Zerg thus far.
Absolutely, and I think Dimaga is really stabilizing here. The Stalker count is really, really low. And why is that important? It's because the Blink upgrade, he spent a lot of money and chrono boosts on that Blink. So it's actually very, very tough for Nightend to continue this on. I think what a better style would have been would to be get a round of Zealots before actually pushing out. He pushed out with all these Stalkers. There were like 10 Stalkers there. Zealots a lot more effective in those situations, and obviously would have been able to crush Dimaga a lot easier. 2-shotting the Zerglings is a lot more effective than, what is it, 4-shotting with the Stalkers.
Yeah, and Nightend is going to do what a lot of other Protoss players do in this situation. Go for the Dark Shrine. He's going to try to sneak in some Dark Templars to hit the economy, but if Dimaga does this correctly, he still should be able to defend very easily because he does have a Spore Crawler at his third base. Does he have anything at the natural? No.
Yeah, I think Dimaga has this sealed up right now in the bag. I don't really see him losing this game. I mean, there's already, as you said, the Spore Crawler, and look at this. He has Banelings loaded up. And with the very, very low stalker count, I mean, what can you really do? Oh, going Archons. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah,
I don't mind that
I originally thought he was going to try to go for, you know, just some Dark Templar and maybe into Archons, but Dark Templars, Archons with Blink can do some pretty good damage. Dimaga's going to make it rain and drop the bangs directly onto the army. Only the Archons really surviving at this point, but the force fields keeping the Zerglings out is very nice, and the Archons can deal with it very quickly. And this has been a pretty good hold thus far from Nightend, but he still has to do a lot more damage if he wants to make this work.
Nightend, you don't have to push in right now.
No, but the Banes are morphing right now. This is actually the perfect time to strike Andre. Oh, but he doesn't know when the Banes are going to finish. This is such a precarious situation. The Banes are all going to hatch just in time. The Zerglings get surrounded. Nightend, oh my goodness, gets surrounded completely. Everything disappears.
I guess there wasn't a good time for it.
Yeah.
Dimaga cleans up so easy right there. Archons are supposed to be good against Banelings, but when you have Banelings in that high of numbers, it just does not matter.
That's right.
You could have done anything right there.
It's like if you eat organic foods, doesn't matter. Some people are like, okay, and they eat like 200 pounds worth of organic food, and all of a sudden they're still not healthy.
I love organic food. Especially
true,
200
man.
pounds.
I go shopping at Trader Joe's all the time. 3 Dark Templars are going to Dimaga's side of the map, but is he going to be able to hold off the Baneling mass that are crashing into his buildings? Good force fields to hold off the first wave. Dark Templars not going into the main. Dimaga has no detection in his main and net.
This is a big problem, but he takes out the Cybernetics core. That's going to help, obviously. The Zerglings will be cleaned up from here on out. But here we go, the Dark Templar is trying to do damage, and they're going for the lair. I'm not sure that's the best option. I think this lair should be able to stay up in this position. We're going to see in a little bit.
Yeah, he just needs to get the Overseer in position, but I don't think the Dark Templar will be able to do anything. No, in fact, Nian's not controlling them, so they're
very negligible damage.
Fun fact, Andre, is if you have 5 Dark Templar, it kills a lair before an Overseer finishes.
Oh. I know 4 kills a hatchery, so it's 5 kills
for the lair.
For the lair. Thank you, Frodan.
It's a small, I mean, no, just in case any Protoss player really wants to try to go for that. And you can just mass recall in one of those forms. Like, oh, well, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose 750 gas.
Dark Templar into recall. How sick is that? You know, you were actually making a lot of really valid points of all-ins and then being supplemented by recall. Yeah. And normally,
it's not
the big
all
problem
in
is,
anymore.
yeah, the big problem is overstepping your boundaries and really not being able to, you know, obviously defend at home. There's a lot of times when all your sentries are just out of energy. Well, now I can recall back. That's going to be awesome in Heart of the Storm. Can't wait for that.
There's no recall here, though, Andre.
Oh, there's no recall.
And Nightend is going to go for one giant concerted last effort tag, the good old 17-minute all in at this point. Here we go. The Banelings are leading the charge. In fact, the Zerglings aren't even really supporting the army to try to tank anything. The force fields are not going to keep the Overlord from raining down on the Protoss parade. And Nightend, he has a couple of Archons left, but they have no more shields. Dimaga just has to back off, wait for another reinforcement, and should be able to hold this off. And when he does, Nightend's army he has nothing really. Back at home, he's almost mined out of his main. He can't really push out for a third. And despite Nightend trying to really put on the aggression, I feel like Dimaga's held very beautifully this game.
That's absolutely right. I mean, Dimaga's done everything right. He's actually overdone it with Banelings most of the time. Obviously, trading Banelings for Archons, not that efficient, but it really shows how far ahead he is in this game or throughout this game. And it looks like Dimaga will pick up the 2-0 win pretty soon here. Now, Dark Templars can actually throw some sort of wrench into things. We saw that with Huck versus Red on Cloud Kingdom last week.
Yeah, that's I mean, I guess if you really think about it, never count on a player that has Dark Templar.
Yeah,
in the same way.
That's exactly right.
That's like I never really count on MMA until the last medevac and Marines are dead.
I never count on Koss until every single one of his Marines and medevacs are dead.
Right, exactly. So.
And he has no more mules.
Right. Or as long as like DRG has infestors, anything can happen. We'll find out what's going to happen though in a couple seconds. Nightend confronting again with his last couple of Archons, but these things are dropping so quick because the Roaches deal with it very nicely. The Zerglings have 2-2 upgrades, and with the Banelings destroying everything, the Stalkers can't even really blink to get a position. Dimaga up twice the supply of Nightend, and the third base is not going to be secured whatsoever. Although I don't think Dimaga even knows about the third base.
No, he doesn't, but he has a Zergling over in the bottom left-hand, or excuse me, a Changeling in the bottom left-hand corner. That's kind of telling him, okay, my opponent really is on 3 bases at all. The bottom right-hand side base gets canceled, and that is really going to put the nail in the coffin. You know, it's kind of sad for Nightend.
You sound very disappointed, Andre.
No, I'm not disappointed. Oh. It's just sad because I know Nightend, he does try as hard as he can every single game to win.
He does.
And
that's kind of the nature of the things, though, Andre.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you try very hard. The player pool is stacked here in Season 4. I mean, you come up to even if you come up and put out your 100% on his best. You're up against such good caliber of players. I mean, Dimaga's the DreamHack runner-up after Mana. And you can see the closing seconds. GG, well played from Nightend. Dimaga takes the series 2-0 with his patented Zergling Baneling style, and even throwing in a couple of Roach cameos there.
I like it, man. I like it. I think the build overall for Nightend really didn't make too much sense. Obviously going Blink Stalkers and then knowing that your opponent goes Zergling Baneling, I think that's a really good style against something like Roaches, right, where you can blink back consistently, Frodan. But against Zerglings, your blink, it's going to do well, but you need to have 8 gateways. You need to actually really, really reinforce it big time, and you need a lot of time to get that huge ball up.
Oh, so I guess that wraps up the series. Let's thank Kingston for providing SSD and memory for NASL Season 4. You can check them out at kingston.com. When we return, our second series of the day is going to be live. It's Masa versus Alive, a Terran versus Terran. We'll be back after a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is Week 2, Division 4. Or Week 2, Division 1.